let's make a raspberry-marzipan custard tart. We're going to begin by making the crust. But if you want to use a sheet of refrigerated pie dough, have at it. I've got 1.5 cups of flour in this bowl, to which I'll add 1/2 cup of powdered sugar, and about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Just mix that up. Then I got a stick of butter that I melted down, so I'll just put all that in. We'll stir that up until the dough forms. Don't be afraid to get your hands in there, just kind of work the dough a bit. Should look kind of crumbly like this. Should almost have a texture of wet sand. So I'll take a sheet of plastic wrap, dump out the dough onto that. Use the plastic wrap to help bring the dough together into more solid shape. The dough's a bit too dry, so I'm just gonna add a touch of water. There we go. Wrap that up. Put it into the fridge for an hour to let it firm up. Got a tube of marzipan. What I'm gonna do is put the marzipan onto a sheet of plastic wrap, another sheet on top, and then roll it out into a thin disc. Lay the bottom of the tart shell right onto the plastic wrap. Use that to help you trace out a nice, even circle. Peel away the excess marzipan. I'll wrap that up and let that chill with the dough. The dough is nice and firm, so we're ready to roll. I'll flour the board, and flour my rolling pin as well, and then we roll. Just want to get into a nice, thin, even surface. It's not a perfect shape, don't worry about that. Here's a little trick, so I'll roll it up onto the rolling pin and roll it out onto the shell. Yes, it's breaking a bit, but that's okay. We can patch it up. Want to get the dough to cover the bottom and sides of the tart shell. If any parts look cracked, like there, just take some pieces of dough and patch that up. Really press the dough against the sides. Just trim away the excess dough. Here's that marzipan. What I'll do is lay that down right onto the dough. Get a fork and just prick the dough in the marzipan all around. So I'm gonna put it back in the fridge to chill. I'll bake the crust at 375 for about 15 to 20 minutes, or until it's nice and brown all around. While the crust bakes, I'm gonna make a very quick raspberry jam. You can use a store-bought jam if you like, but I wanted to make my own. It's gonna be a set jam, so I've got 2 teaspoons of powdered unflavored gelatin, to which I'm gonna add a touch of cold water, stir that up to dissolve, set that aside so the gelatin can do its thing. Next up, I've got a bunch of fresh raspberries. It's about 2 cups. Set aside 8 of those raspberries for garnish. So just get a fork and press down on those raspberries. Really get their juices flowing. I'll add 3/4 cup of sugar, about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. Now we'll just bring that to a boil. I have an electric stove, so it does take a little bit to heat up. Okay, so once that comes up to a boil, I'll reduce it to a simmer and let it cook for about 4 to 5 minutes, or until it starts to thicken up. Look at that color. So I'll give it the spoon test. The liquid clings to the spoon, so it's done. While the jam's still hot, I will stir in that gelatin, stir it up, get it dissolved, pour that into a bowl. I'll just set that aside to cool. Now I'm gonna make my custard, but first, I've got another tablespoon of gelatin, add a bit of water, just like before, stir that up and leave it to bloom and activate. So now I'm gonna heat up 3 cups of milk, just a dash of vanilla bean paste. Could also use extract. The milk doesn't have to boil, I just wanna get it really hot. While the milk heats up, I've got 3 egg yolks in the bowl, to which I'll add a 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of cornstarch, and a little salt. Whisk that up. Looking to dissolve the cornstarch and the sugar into those egg yolks. Once the milk is hot, I'll add about 1/2 cup to the egg yolks. Whisk that up to combine, pour that into the pot, bring that over to the stove. I'll just cook that over medium heat for about 5 minutes or until it thickens. But make sure you're whisking that constantly or it will curdle. Making a custard is a bit like making risotto. You cannot stop stirring it or it will be ruined. It's gonna seem like nothing's happening for a few minutes, then all of a sudden, boom, you have a thick custard. I feel it, it's starting to thicken. There we go, nice and thick. Really quick, we'll add the gelatin. Keep that moving, because even now, those eggs could curdle. Get that into a strainer, just in case some of those egg yolks curdled on us. Happens to the best of us. Cover that directly with plastic wrap. Now leave that to cool completely on the counter. So there's the crust looking beautiful. The jam's had time to cool, so I'm gonna pour that onto the crust, shake it a bit to spread it out, put that into the fridge so the jam can set. And once that jam has set, I'll pour on the custard and move it to the fridge so the custard can set. Now, have a look at that. Here's what I love about these loose bottom tart shells. You take an inverted bowl or anything narrower than the shell itself, and then pop, you have your beautiful tart. Now for garnish, I got a few fresh raspberries, which I should have put on before setting the custard, but that's fine, and some sliced almonds. The garnishes for a tart should really reflect the flavors and the filling. Now we'll go for that perfect slice, and you want to press down a bit because the marzipan's a bit firm. And look at that. Wow. It really doesn't need anything else, except for a fork. Creamy custard, roasted marzipan, that wonderful jam. I couldn't recommend making this more.